Roblox is a game full of different worlds and games you can explore, where you can create and likely find almost anything that you can imagine. As such, although the possibilities for creating and gameplay are endless, there is also endless opportunity for you to run into things that could trigger fears within you. I'm your host, Amanda McKnight, and today we're going to be taking a look at some of these more triggering aspects of the games of Roblox as we count down the top 10 scary phobias Roblox will trigger. And be sure to stick around till the end of this list where I will have some bonus content coming your way. All right, let's get counting. Number 10, Sonic Phobia. Okay, so this isn't a real phobia. Though, I mean, what makes a phobia real? Does some doctor just declare, this fear is legitimate, but this other fear, no, you can't be severely afraid of that thing because it's not allowed. But regardless of what psychologists think, I'm gonna count this one as a phobia, because a phobia, after all, is really just a severe, often irrational fear of something that gives you so much anxiety that it interferes with your daily life. And I feel like Roblox could trigger this kind of severe fear of Sonic. While Sonic isn't an official character in the game, many games feature his image and likeness, and some are even inspired by the gameplay of Sonic games. So if the speedy blue hedgehog freaks you out, and I know that there's a bunch of you out there that are freaked out by Sonic, then you definitely will want to avoid some games in Roblox, or risk having your phobia triggered, I guess. Number 9, Aerophobia. Aerophobia is the fear of flying, and some games in Roblox may require you to fly or at least glide in the game in order to achieve your goal. As such, this fear could easily be triggered in those who have this irrational fear. Now, I refer to this phobia as being irrational as many people who have it actually acknowledge this fear as being irrational, knowing they are perfectly safe in an aircraft, for example, but still feeling intense anxiety at the prospect of being on one and being up in the air. Number 8, Cynophobia. Images of dogs, or dogs that you can interact with themselves in games, have been known to appear in the world of Roblox, depending, of course, on which game you're playing. Because dogs can exist in Roblox, some may find themselves unable to continue playing certain games when confronted with this creature. And Roblox may actually make someone aware that they have this phobia and are actually afraid of dogs. Often the fear of dogs can exist because of a traumatic experience the person suffered involving a dog earlier on in life, such as being bitten by a dog at a young age. Later on, the appearance of a dog might be all it takes to trigger this phobia, depending on how severe it is. Number 7, Basophobia. This is the fear of falling. Games that involve gameplay where it is possible for you to fall off something, like a platform arcade style setup, could trigger this fear. Those who also have a fear of heights, known as acrophobia, may also find situations where they could fall specifically frightening and triggering, as many of the falls in Roblox can happen from an intense height. There are games, for example, where you have to jump on platforms that appear to be floating high up in the sky, and this might be too much for players who have a severe fear of heights or falling. Some games even require you to fall in order to progress. Number 6, Robophobia. Robophobia is the fear of robots, robot-like creatures, or technology, or even AI. There are various creatures that you could come across in various different games in Roblox, but some creatures appear to be robotic in appearance. Those who harbor this phobia could find themselves triggered just from seeing a creature that appears to be a robot, even if it's simply a stock-still statue. Some enemies in Roblox also appear to be mechanical beings or robots. The fear of being chased by these robotic beings will likely be too anxiety-inducing for those suffering from robophobia, meaning their gameplay could be limited and that the surprise appearance of a robot in a game could actually scare them away from playing Roblox at all forever. Number 5, Mazophobia. Some games in Roblox actually just have mazes within them, or are based around puzzles. Those with a fear of getting lost may struggle with these games and find them impossible to complete as they feel their intense phobia being triggered. This fear could most likely be triggered by a maze itself, but could also be triggered by various aspects of gameplay in Roblox, where the goal of the game or steps to complete the game are not as directly communicated to the player. The fear of getting lost can also just extend to not knowing where to go or what to do next. Number 4, Nyctophobia. Are you afraid of the dark? If you are, Roblox games might not be the place for you. Many of the horror games in Roblox, at least, deal heavily in creating spooky, dim-lit atmospheres that deal heavily in shadows. Those who have a fear of the dark likely won't feel comfortable in these games. And some games, which aren't even categorized as horror games in Roblox, still have elements of darkness within them. So if a dark dungeon lit only by barren torchlight scares you at all, be warned, playing Roblox games may leave you triggered. Usually a fear of the dark is all about the fear of that which cannot be seen, and the monsters that could potentially lurk in the shadows. Number 3, Aerophobia. Some games in Roblox can feel never-ending, which might trigger this phobia in players. Aerophobia is the fear of infinity, or of never-ending life. The fact that some games have no perceived ending, or that some feel like they are going on forever, could trigger this fear in those playing Roblox. Of course, you can always leave a game if you no longer want to play it and are starting to get anxious, but just the idea of an endless game existing could be too much for those who suffer from this phobia to take. Number 2, Terra Phobia. Terra Phobia is the fear of monsters. And while not all games in Roblox have monsters or a clear antagonist, there are monsters and enemies in many of the games. The idea of being chased around or captured by monsters could scare some away from playing at all if they suffer from Terra Phobia. At the very least, running into a monster in Roblox may encourage those who suffer with this phobia to avoid playing certain games and stick to games that seem more fun or cutesy and less scary. Terra Phobia is a common phobia among young children. Typically, as little kids grow up, they grow out of their fear of monsters, but of course, scary creatures or situations could cause this fear to be triggered once more and cause a relapse, causing the player to once again return to this familiar phobia. Number 1, the Ngata Phobia. There are many opportunities for you to die in Roblox. Sometimes you might not even know what you did to cause your death in game, as sometimes your character can die as the result of a glitch. Of course, you will always end up coming back to life and respawning one way or the other. And if you die too many times in a game for it to be enjoyable, you can always leave. But for those who suffer from the Ngata Phobia, just dying once might be enough to trigger this phobia. The Ngata Phobia is the fear of death and of dying. Those who suffer from this fear could find any dangerous situation within Roblox games triggering, as it could make them worry about their character's death and perhaps even their own death as well. To them, just the prospect of death or just the act of being chased or pursued by an enemy might be considered too much. Those suffering from the Ngata Phobia may be forced to quit playing Roblox for good. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed exploring some of the more triggering elements of Roblox for those with scary but often irrational fears. What do you think are some of the scariest moments in the games of Roblox? Is there anything seemingly normal that you found triggered a fear within you that you just couldn't explain while playing? What are some of your favorite games to play in Roblox? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments for one of our latest videos, Top 10 Scary Roblox Glitches. Literally nothing like Sonic comments, "No, the bricks are scared of you deleting them." I can imagine they would be, if they were sentient. Are the bricks in Roblox sentient? If they were, I wonder what they would spend their days thinking about. Probably how weird it is that people enjoy glitching through them. They're like, here comes another person. Are they gonna move through me as a wall? Oh shoot, they just did it. Dustin Hoskins shares, I had a weird experience when I was playing Roblox. I was going to play a game and I would get this message. Guests are not allowed to play games. But the weird thing was I was still logged in. That is an odd glitch. I feel like Roblox is just so big and there are so many games on it that it's easy to encounter a lot of glitches. I think a lot of them have to do with updates interfering with previously created content on older versions of Roblox, pre-certain updates that is. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feels shouted out in a future list. This has been Top 10 Gaming and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to keep on gaming on. Pew pew!